Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Dude, It's Football. I'm your host, Buck Rogers, and I'm a sophomore, and my favorite team's the Ravens.
I'm Thomas McKelvey. I'm also a sophomore, and my favorite team's the Eagles.
I'm Finn Doyle, I'm a sophomore as well, and my favorite team is the Bears.
If you haven't watched episode 1 of our podcast, make sure to check that out. Link will be in the description down below. But anyways, let's get started with episode 2.
All right.
Today's December 4th. So we're going to recap a few of the games in Week 12 and give our awards. Obviously, there were some big upsets that happened Week 12 that weren't really to be expected. I'll start with the Thursday night game, Browns and Steelers. I was honestly expecting a Steelers win, but the Browns have had now 2 upset wins against divisional rivals. They beat the Ravens earlier this year.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something to take note of, certainly.
It was the first snow game of the year. That was a fun watch.
Yep. That game came down to the wire. Anyways, another upset. Cowboys and Commanders. Pretty crazy game, but Cowboys ended up taking the win. They beat the Commanders. What a fourth quarter that was.
Yeah, seriously, the way the Cowboys really showed up there, and it broke their losing streak, so hopefully they get something going for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I remember when Thomas, in the first episode, said that he needed the Cowboys to win. Well, Cowboys won. Anyway.
Flashback.
As much as I want to say Commanders, I need the Cowboys to win. So, I'm going to go Cowboys.
End of flashback.
Anyways, let's move on to a near upset that didn't quite happen. The Chiefs beat the Panthers 30-27, but Panthers deserve a lot of credit for playing for the Chiefs game coming down to the wire.
Yeah, last week I picked the Panthers to upset them, and it was looking good, but Patrick Mahomes just broke off a 40-yard run, of course.
Flashback.
Hear me out.
Nope.
I think the Panthers they've been so good recently, coming off of a win in Germany. Look,
That does not
they're
count.
it's gonna count. Trust me.
Everyone
I have the
counts on the
Panthers.
record.
I have the Panthers winning by a field goal.
End of flashback.
You know, that's really good for a young QB, and they keep playing like they did against the Chiefs. They could win some games.
And then this upset, all 3 got wrong. Titans beating the Texans. I was definitely not expecting that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. And then we had, of course, the primetime games like Sunday Night Football was a huge game for Saquon Barkley.
Best game of his career.
Certainly 255 rushing yards. And then Monday night, Ravens win, beating the Chargers. John Harbaugh now 3-0 against his brother. All right, so now we will move on to our Week 12 awards.
All right, Buck, I think you should go first.
So the MVP, I'm going to have to give it to Tua Tagovailoa, who had a great game against the Patriots. He's never lost to them in his career, and he continued that.
Yeah, I'm going to give my MVP to Saquon Barkley. I mean, he set a franchise record and just went off.
All right, good pick. Finn, what did you have for your MVP Week 12?
My MVP is Bo Nix, and certainly that is a kind of an absurd pick, but I thought it was Bo Nix because he really built up the Broncos and destroyed them, and kept them alive in that game and showed potential.
Yeah, good game by Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I mean, that pick's certainly debatable, but anyways, Offensive Player of the Week, I think we can all agree on that one. Saquon Barkley.
Saquon.
What a game he had. Like, it just could not get much better than that.
Yeah, seriously.
Anyways, Defensive Player of the Week. I gave it to Kobe Bryant of the Seahawks. Got a pick 6 against the Cardinals that, really changed that game. And then did a tribute to Marshawn Lynch on the celebration. Got fined for that.
Yeah, which is crazy because they used that picture in the video.
Yeah, that's why I put the Seahawks ahead of the Cardinals in the NFC West. But what'd you pick, Thomas?
Well, I picked Myles Garrett because he got 5 tackles, 3 sacks, and then a forced fumble. That's a really good stat to have.
I had the same thing.
Yeah, and then T.J. Watt. Well, like there's been some tensions with the Steelers and Myles Garrett. Like T.J. Watt going into that game wanted the defensive player of the year last year over Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett's like, you better apologize to me, and maybe Myles Garrett was right. He proved himself. And also, everyone knows about the 2019 Thursday Night Football incident that happened between the Browns and the Steelers, so
That was wild.
makes sense why Myles Garrett played extra good for that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then fantasy player of the week. If you had Saquon Barkley on your fantasy team and didn't win, I don't know how you didn't win.
I think he had like 40 points.
Probably even more than that. I think he had like 50 or 40,
Yeah, it was
depending like
something
what
like that. It was
league
crazy.
it was in. Anyways, game of the week, week 12. Cowboys and Commanders.
I agree with that one.
I had Ravens and Chargers just because of the brotherly matchup.
Yeah. So Cowboys and Commanders, like, it was actually like looking like pretty mid, and then the fourth quarter just happens, and like we get a bunch of action. The Cowboys are up by 2 scores, and then Jaden Daniels throws like a pass to Terry McLaurin. He takes it 80 yards to the house, but of course, it couldn't have ended without a missed extra point. And then the Cowboys like gave the Commanders a chance by recovering it for a touchdown. They should have just taken the
should
knee.
have fell to 1. Put the game away.
Gave Jaden Daniels a chance to have a Hail Mary, which he completed earlier this year, but the Hail Mary there fell short.
Yeah, a lot of missed field goals this season. I'm surprised that we had so many kickers being off.
Interesting to think of. Anyways, coach of the week, I'm going to give it to Brian Callahan. After he was able to coach his Titans to a huge upset win over the Texans.
Yeah, I agree with that. I put Dan Campbell because he's just been automatic these past couple weeks. It's
I know.
just win after win by big margins.
I also had Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, coach of the year candidate, potentially.
Yeah, seriously, what he's doing with the Lions is really, really surprising by me.
And then the best team performance, it's got to go to a Packers who blew out the 49ers 38-10, getting revenge on the 49ers after what the 49ers did to them in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, best team performance for me was the Panthers. I think this is the start of something big. Bryce Young's finally looking like how he looked in Alabama. He's looking real good. I think he can carry the Panthers far.
Yeah, he's starting to look better than C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I had the Broncos, very similar to Thomas's point. I thought they could do something big, especially with Bo Nix and the rest of the team, Jerry Jeudy. Hopefully they're gonna do good.
Yep, they seem to do good. And anyways, let's get into week 13. So, it started with Thanksgiving game, 1 o'clock. Somehow this game seemed like it was going to be a blowout. But then that Jahmyr Gibbs fumble sort of brought the Bears back into it. And the Bears honestly should have sent it to overtime. But questionable coaching by Matt Eberflus caused them to lose that game.
Yeah, unfortunate, but it's something that the Bears fans expect, and you just gotta look forward to next week.
Finn, I got a question for you. What do you think of the Eberflus firing?
Definitely the right decision. I just can't believe he's lasted this long, especially with so many people and, the team performance being just horrible. So hopefully this is actually going to go into my hot take. But they're competing. Like, they've been showing true potential. They've competed with the Lions, Packers, and even the Vikings, the strongest of their divisions even. But they're just not, ending up with the win. So hopefully they can turn it around with a new head coach and maybe just try to, well, not at this point, but just reset.
Forgot to mention, but the Week 12 game against the Vikings, it was pretty good. Went into overtime. Bears got an onside kick, but they just couldn't pull it out. I mean, they found some offensive performances since firing their offensive coordinator. So who knows? 4-8, but not done yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Should be doing better. Anyways, next game, Cowboys and Giants. It went to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I expected this. I mean, Cowboys are just a better team than the Giants, I feel. And the Giants are now down to their third string because they just got rid of Daniel Jones. Did we talk about that yet?
No,
Yeah,
we did not.
Yeah, Daniel Jones got released
Yeah.
from the Giants, and Vikings picked him up. So good for him to go to a coach like Kevin O'Connell, who could research his career. Yeah, the Cowboys Giants game is actually closer than I thought it would be. But anyways, next game, I mean, Dolphins. I remember a hot take I said about them a few weeks ago. Maybe it's not looking so good. Maybe it still is, but you know what they cannot do? Play in the cold.
That's right.
Tua
They-
is not good in the cold.
They're not good under 40-degree weather.
Like last year against the Chiefs, yes, I get it was like record cold, but they played horrible. They didn't play very good on Thanksgiving against the Packers, and they're just gonna have to like win out. Like maybe they can lose one more game, but it's gonna be tough for them to make the playoffs after this loss. Anyways, Black Friday game. The Raiders got eliminated despite almost beating the Chiefs, and the Chiefs made the playoffs. Should have been a Raiders win.
It definitely should have been a Raiders win.
Yeah.
It's another week they get off lucky.
Yeah.
Yep. Questionable coaching by the Raiders, and also questionable officiating. I mean, should have been called a false start instead of
Yeah, that was
illegal
rough.
shift.
Which is funny because they called it the spike as well. So I don't know what the reffing was going on that game, but it was truly unfortunate to see the Raiders end that way.
Yeah, and Daniel Carlson had missed 3 kicks that game, so he also deserves some of the blame for this loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyways, let's go to Sunday now. Texans and Jaguars, and oh my gosh. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence is okay. He just took a huge hit by Aziz Al-Shaair, or however you pronounce his game. Al-Shaair's being suspended for 3 games. There was a huge brawl over it, and honestly, Mac Jones came in and looked well, but the Jaguars are eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the Jaguars were going to do that good. And Trevor Lawrence has yet to prove himself. It's been, 3 years? He hasn't been doing as good as everyone hyped him up to be.
I know, it looked like 2022, it was, gonna be, it was gonna take a lot of steps forward after 2022, but he hasn't. Anyways, now, Patriots get eliminated after a loss with the Colts, and you know what was crazy about this game? Joey Sly was closer to making a 68-yard field goal than he was to making a 25-yard field goal.
Yeah, that's a fun stat to have.
I know. And the Colts, I mean, Patriots have still been looking good, but the Colts were able to pull this one off. I mean, Patriots just missed their opportunities, and Anthony Richardson doing the taking the L celebration on them. Yeah, and then they went for 2, which was a risky decision, but smart, and it worked out for them. Anyways, let's move on. What is going on with the Falcons? They've lost 3 straight, and Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah, I think they're really starting to regret picking up Kirk Chainz. I mean, he hasn't obviously been performing well since his first few weeks, and they got to rethink what they're gonna do with the end of the season.
I mean, they got Michael Penix. They can start him some.
Yeah,
If the issue gets worse,
Yeah.
but hopefully the Falcons will pick it up. I mean, Chargers with a nice bounce back win after the loss to the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are a real competitor in the playoffs. And what's happening with the Falcons? They were good, and they've been looking good. They've been sucking a lot recently.
I know, 3 straight losses. Anyways, Seahawks and Jets still have they could not avoid the losing record. It was 26-21, and Leonard Williams, the former Jet, got a 92-yard pick 6. That's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, Jets really falling apart. They got to rethink as well as many other teams. But Devontae Adams hasn't been helping them, and certainly Aaron Rodgers hasn't either. So I think they just got to reset and, pray for a better next year.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jets just continue to be a poverty franchise. Anyways, let's move on. Commanders with a bounce-back win after their three-game skid, 42-19 against the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of Commanders fans saying, "Oh, we're back, we're back." It's the Titans. The Titans aren't that great of a team. It was a big win, though.
Maybe they are. I mean, run game for the Commanders certainly being a dominating factor in this one.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll move on to an AFC North battle. Steelers lost to the Browns in Week 12, but they get a nice bounce-back win, 44-38 over the Bengals. And I know I said this last episode, but oh my goodness, how rough is it to be Joe Burrow? The Bengals have scored 30-plus points in 4 of their losses. I don't even know what to say. Their defense just can't do anything. They got gifted that pick 6 by the referees because it should have been a pass interference against them. But yeah,
The game.
Russell Wilson looking really good for the Steelers. And then the Bengals ended it by somehow not knowing that Justin Fields was going to run the ball, despite the whole stadium and pretty much all the viewers knowing that it was going to be an option and Fields was going to keep it.
Yeah, that was a hard watch.
Yeah, definitely tough. I mean, as a Ravens fan, I needed the Steelers to lose, and they didn't. Now let's go to the Vikings, who looked like they were going to lose this game, but ended up coming back and getting the win.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray, I feel like he's not good in clutch time scenarios.
Threw a game-losing interception. I mean, kind of proves your point. I mean, Cardinals, they gotta win, or else they could be out of the divisional race for the NFC West.
Yeah.
Seahawks taking over their spot.
And the NFC West is kind of a toss-up right now. It could be anyone's game.
Yep. Speaking of the NFC West, let's move on to the Rams and Saints game. Well, the Rams prove that they're not done yet.
Yeah, this was a big game for them. And Thomas, would you want to say anything?
Oh, I was just going to say, after the defeat last week to the Eagles, they came back and, I mean, they won. They decided we don't want to lose this week.
I mean, the Saints were doing good, but on a bit of a streak. But unfortunately, they couldn't finish. Unfortunately, they couldn't win this one. Anyways, let's go to a game that Thomas, you talked about Bryce Young's success earlier. Look, I know the Panthers lost this game, but this was another proof of Bryce Young being a great player.
Yeah, he had that one amazing throw on the run, an absolute dot. I think he's just in his flow right now.
Yeah.
His defense isn't helping him. Kind of I don't want to say it's like the Joe Burrow situation, but he is a good quarterback, and I think they need to keep working on him.
Well, the difference in the Joe Burrow situation is that the Joe Burrow situation was more unexpected.
Definitely
Anyways, Finn,
unexpected.
Go to what you want to say?
I was just going to say, yeah, Bryce Young, I'm glad they put him back in after benching him, putting Andy Dalton in. Yeah, like Thomas said, he's really been showing out as a quarterback, and hopefully he can, build on his team, and hopefully he can be, someone that brings them close enough to the playoffs.
All right, Thomas.
Hey.
I'm going to hate you for this game. But the Eagles beat the Ravens 24-19. Tucker, 3 missed kicks, an extra point missed, and 2 missed field goals. Thomas, what did you think about that game?
Look, it was a very slow start for the Eagles. We never score on our opening drive. This entire season we haven't scored an opening drive, so I knew that wasn't going to happen. We were down 0-9, and then I don't know what happened to the Ravens. They just couldn't get back into it. We just kept scoring.
I swear. Like in the first quarter, the Eagles reminded me of the Ravens. Like they were getting all the penalties, and it seemed like the Ravens were getting none. I mean,
Oh yeah, it
Like-
did. I was looking at my TV, seeing Jalen Carter getting all held up, and they wouldn't call it. That was rough.
I've definitely felt like that as a Ravens fan. But this was the first game that I feel like we actually got favored by the refs.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, Eagles just showed out as the better team. I think Ravens gotta, figure out their coaching, figure out their kicker, and maybe it's time to give someone else a chance other than Tucker.
I
Cause
know.
Yeah.
it's like putting down. This is a crazy comparison, but it's like putting down like a good dog. Like he's done so much for this team, and he's just not doing it anymore. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It is sad.
Anyways, let's talk about the running back matchup. Saquon Barkley versus Derrick Henry. I feel like both of them underperformed, but Saquon had that one drive in the fourth quarter that kind of changed the game.
Yeah, I feel like Derrick Henry and Saquon had similar carries, but Saquon had 100 yards. I think every game he's played in, I think he's had over 100 rushing yards. And at least one TD.
I just don't know. I feel like Derrick Henry's like starting to regress a little bit. Like he just hasn't seemed as good as he was. But who knows? Maybe it's just because he's faced physical defenses. Anyway, Sunday Night Football, second snow game of the season, absolute blowout. Oh my! And the Bills did a play that reminded me of the Lions. Josh Allen passes it to Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper laterals it back to Josh Allen. Hook and ladder, Detroit Lions style, right there. As the Bills got the AFC East with that win.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve the AFC East, honestly.
Fifth straight AFC East title for them. So some people thought that they weren't going to be fine, but it seems like they're still okay.
Yeah, a lot of people thought the Jets were going to take it.
Or Dolphins.
Or Dolphins.
Anyways, we can't end the Week 15 recaps without talking about what was arguably the best game of Week 15, Broncos and Browns. And yes, the Browns did lose, but they played a good game. It was the most Jameis Winston game of all time, as he threw 6 touchdowns. Unfortunately, 2 of them were to the Broncos, and that's what cost the Browns.
Most yards thrown ever.
Yep. Only just a bit under 500 were thrown to his old team. Jerry Jeudy, what a revenge game for him.
What a player.
Yeah. Broncos made a mistake getting rid of him. But anyways, let's go on to our Week 13 awards.
Can I say something about the Browns versus the Broncos game?
Absolutely.
I think Bo Nix is a top-tier quarterback. I think he should be, I don't want to say MVP conversation, but at least Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think that's a very good take. He's definitely been showing out these past few weeks, and that's why I had him as my week total MVP.
Yeah, I like him over Jaden Daniels personally.
You like him over Jane Daniels. Okay.
That's a hot
He's more-
take.
I feel like he's
that
more
should be
reliable.
that should be your hot take.
Well, I've got a better one.
I
Alright.
guess we'll see what it is.
Yeah, let's move on to our Week 13 awards. Buck?
MVP, Josh Allen, I mean, with another good game. He had a rushing, receiving, even though I don't know if statistically counted as receiving, and some passing touchdowns in this game. So
Yeah, first ever quarterback to do that.
Yeah.
last time we saw that was when Christian McCaffrey did it in 2022 against the Rams.
All right.
All right.
Who would you like to go next?
My MVP, Jerry Jeudy, obviously. He got 40 fantasy points, so I'm going to put him as my fantasy player, too.
Yeah, I also put him as my fan. Actually, I didn't. Finn, go ahead.
I didn't have any fantasy players, but my MVP of the week was Russell Wilson. He really showed out against. Wait, who they? Week
The
13.
Bengals.
The Bengals.
Bengals.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
a brain fart. Anyways, he 29 for 38, and just reviving this Steelers, sort of run to the playoffs. Obviously, they always make the playoffs, but hopefully they can go farther than just the first round, second round this time.
Yep. Offensive player of the week. I meant to say offensive player of the week instead of fantasy player of the week, but that went to Jerry Jeudy for me, as he had a crazy revenge game against his former team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it to Jameson Winston. I mean, he did throw, 3 interceptions?
Yep.
That is kind of rough, but he balled out other than that.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. That's why I put it as my I'll just say this now. I had it as my game of the week because it was so fun to watch. But my offensive. Oh wait, were you saying something? Sorry.
Nope.
No.
All right. I was gonna say my offensive player of the week was Brock Bowers, and this might be a very opinionated take, but it was the game I think I watched the most, other than the Bears. And he really just showed up against those Chiefs, and a team that can be debated as Super Bowl contenders. He just destroyed their defense, and as such a young player, he did really well.
A lot of promise.
All right. Brock Bowers as your offensive player of the week. Let's move on to the defense. Tarheeb Still was my defensive player of the week. And for those who don't know, he's a Chargers cornerback. He had 2 interceptions, including one of them returned for a pick 6. So
That's fair.
that's why I gave it to him. What'd you have?
I gave it to one of the young guys. This might sound biased, but Cooper DeJean. I don't know many people who can go up and just tackle Derrick Henry and lay him on his back. That was one of the best plays I think I've seen all year, and he's been putting on clamps.
All right. A little bit too much hype over one play. And plus Derrick Henry had to jump mid-air to catch that pass. So I'll give Cooper DeJean credit for making that tackle, but at the same time, don't think it was worth Defensive Player of the Week. Finn, what did you have?
I had Leonard Williams, and this might be kind of a weird pick, but watching the Seahawks game, he had 6 tackles and 2.5 sacks, so I thought he was my player of the week.
Yeah, revenge game for him against the Jets. Maybe Week 13 was the story of the revenge games.
Yeah.
Fantasy Player of the Week for me was Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I said Jerry Judy already. It was insane.
And then Finn didn't have one.
I didn't have one.
That's all right. We'll just say Jerry Judy for you. Game
Yeah.
of the Week, Finn already mentioned his, and that was also mine. Browns and Broncos. What a game this was. Came down to the wire.
Yeah, I said Steelers-Bengals because that just showed a lot out of both teams, and that was just straight shootout.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like all the AFC North games are entertaining and always come down to the wire. Like, they're on Hard Knocks right now, and I think it's a great division.
Yeah.
Arguably the best in football, even though they haven't been playing like it this year.
I mean, other than the
let's watch
Bears,
it there.
I'm taking the NFC North as the best division. I don't know about you guys.
Okay.
All right. Coach of the week. I gotta give it to Dan Quinn. He got his players back from a 3-game losing streak, and the Commanders got a blowout win. Their run game was good. Their pass game was good. Everything was good for them.
I would say the same as Buck.
I said Nick Sirianni. He has 8 straight wins after coming off the bye, so I don't know what he's been saying, but it's working.
Yeah. Maybe that haircut was the reason why.
Hey, Baldiani.
Gotta give him some credit. But anyways, let's move on. Best team performance. Bills with a 35-10 win over the 49ers. And and this is weird. Second straight week where I'm picking the team that blew out the 49ers.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Very fair.
I had the Bills as well. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
You're fine.
Bills. I said Commanders because they won by a lot. It was just pressure. They had their foot on the Titans' necks the whole game.
Yeah. Good credit. But anyways, let's make our hot takes now.
All right,
So
let's wrap it up.
I got an interesting hot take. Some may say this is bias. Some may not. But the Kansas City Chiefs will not have a three-peat with the way they're playing right now. In fact, I don't even think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. They've had 9 one-score wins so far. And I feel like they're very similar to the 2022 Vikings where they're just going to strike, or bad luck will just strike them at the wrong time. The only difference is they just have done it before. So, and they're getting some players back sometime soon. But I think really like any team in the AFC that's in the playoffs, like Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chargers, even Broncos, they could beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Chiefs have barely beaten the Panthers and Raiders. And if quality wins was a stat, they'd probably only have 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah.
They're relying heavily on their luck right now. And if they don't take their next game to a level, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. not even make it.
Yeah, there's been so much talk about the Chiefs, how far the refs can take them, if you want to believe that. Talks about their O-line, Pacheco, and just so much more that this team is just, it's going to crumble. And it's going to happen sooner or later, and hopefully it happens soon for all those that don't want them to win.
Yeah, I mean, what'd you say for your hot takes?
Oh, my hot takes are going to always be biased towards the Bears, but I think I already mentioned it a little farther back, but it's that they can compete, and they've been showing that they can compete against these teams, these playoff contender teams. They're just falling short every time, and one was a Hail Mary, 2 were field goals, and 1 was just bad coaching. So yeah, I think hopefully a new coach is going to turn their season around, and I don't know if this is the hot take, they might just crumble apart, but I think they have the talent, they have the team, and they have the quarterback. I mean, Caleb Williams I wouldn't say is the best rookie, but what is one of the best rookies out there right now.
Yeah, it's looking like a pretty good draft class for the rookies.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a take, Finn, but makes a lot of sense. Thomas, you had an interesting hot take. What'd you say?
Look, this head coach, he's been getting into some really close games, and he's been losing some of them by a lot. Or not by a lot, but he's still been losing. And I think he's more of a player's coach, and that's John Harbaugh. I think he's going to get fired because he hasn't been producing. He's had some absolute god teams, some insane teams, and he just can't take them to the Super Bowl.
I'm going to be honest with you, Thomas. I think he should be fired. I don't think the Baltimore Ravens will fire him, just knowing how they've worked. It seems like Harbaugh's failed him years past, and they'll still keep him. But yeah, I've definitely seen some questionable coaching. If your team's the most penalized in the league, that's kind of reflective on you as a coach. There were some I'm gonna be honest. There were some very questionable penalties, but there have been some pretty obvious ones, and it seems like coaching and kicking just seems to destroy the Ravens right now.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, those are the two, I'd say, oldest members of the team. John Harbaugh since 2008, and I don't even know since
Tucker since 2012, the year they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 2012. I mean, these guys are just getting old, and obviously they're not in spots where they're going to get injured, obviously head coach and kicker, but they're getting old. There's very few people left from those years, and people that are either are doing really well or they're just not performing at all.
All right. Let's go. Let's move on. Week 14 predictions. Let's go. All right. Just remember again, we're going to do rapid fire like we did last time.
Like that.
Packers, Lions, Thursday night, Lions.
Lions, yeah. I think I see that happening.
Browns and Steelers. Browns beat the Steelers last time, but I feel like Steelers always lose on the road and then win at home against the Browns, and that continues.
I'm going to take the Browns.
I'm going to take the Browns, too. I just love watching Winston play.
Yeah.
He turned around.
Steelers just seem too good to lose to the Browns twice, but anything's possible. Saints and Giants, that's going to the Saints.
Give me the Saints.
Definitely Saints.
Jets and Dolphins, two teams that kind of disappointed this year, but I think Dolphins are better. They get the win.
Yeah, probably Dolphins.
This week has been pretty easy to predict, and hopefully, rest of the games.
All right, this one's kind of tough to predict, but two bad teams, Jaguars and Titans. I'm going to give it to the Titans just because they're at home, and they seem a little bit better than Jaguars right now.
I'd say the same, especially with Trevor Lawrence and his concussion.
Oh, yeah. I see the Titans just smacking the Jaguars.
And then Kirk Cousins' revenge game against his former team, and he does not get his revenge. Vikings win.
Sam Darnold for the win.
Vikings win.
I got prediction. I feel like their defense is actually going to be the reason why they win. Kirk's been struggling, and Brian Flores has coached a very good defense. Panthers and Eagles. It's going to the Eagles, but it might be closer than people think.
Yeah, hopefully Bryce Young performs. I want to say the Eagles as well, but I want to see him do well.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of scared of Bryce Young. If we played the Bryce Young that we've seen since, the first 2 weeks, I'd be fine. But this team's starting to really come together, so I think it's going to be a one-score game. The Eagles take it.
I think you're overestimating it too much. I feel like Bryce Young has the talent, but he doesn't have the receivers and running backs around him to do it.
Did you see that Adam Thielen catch?
I mean,
That's one catch.
You're right.
I think Adam Thielen's our only good receiver. Raiders and Buccaneers, and I think the Buccaneers will win, and that would give them first place of the division since the Falcons lost earlier.
Yeah, weak division. Give me the Buccaneers, though.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bucs because the Raiders are already out. They might as well just tank their season, get a good draft pick.
Seahawks and Cardinals. Okay, I feel like the Cardinals lost to the Seahawks last time, but they're gonna get their revenge, and they're gonna make it an interesting division. They're not gonna give up.
I'm taking the Seahawks on this one.
I'm going to take the Hawks.
All right.
All right, Bears and 49ers. I'm gonna go 49ers. I just feel like they're the slightly better team right now. I mean, Bears could beat them, but I feel like the 49ers, like, they keep losing in ways they shouldn't, and I feel like they're going to find a way to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about the Bears. They're losing in ways they shouldn't, or they're finding new ways to lose. This is going to be a 50-50 choice for me, but as a Bears fan, give me the Bears.
Look, it's not that hard for me. I think the Bears win it. They went up against, who they play last week?
Lions.
Lions, they're a dominant team, and they kept it a very close game.
Yeah.
And I think the Niners are just not up to there, and the Bears will take that game.
We'll just see how the coaching goes on this game.
Yep. Bills and Rams. Give me your Bills.
Bills, for
Definitely
sure.
the Bills.
Sunday Night Football. Chargers and Chiefs. Chiefs win and clinch the AFC West title with that win.
I want an upset here. Give me the Chargers.
Ooh, I like that.
I want the Chargers too, but I think the Chiefs are going to win, and it's going to be some other luck play.
I don't know. Offensive line isn't looking good right now. We'll see what happens.
And then Monday Night Football. Cowboys and Bengals. Bengals finally win. Cowboys are just too bad for them.
I don't know. The Cowboys bounce back game this week. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
I'm going to give it to the Bengals because I just feel like the Bengals are a way better team.
They are, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Anything's possible.
yeah.
So, with that in mind, that's the end of our episode. Thanks for watching. I'm Buck Rogers.
I'm Finn Doyle.
I'm Thomas McKelvey.
See you
And
next
stay
week.
tuned for next episode.